Bonding dentists together is what we do at Dentist Job Connect to help practice owners unlock more freedom, free time, fuel growth, and most of all, fewer hygiene checks. To find out more about what we do, just text HIRE to 215-798-9897 or visit dentistjobconnect.com. To see all of our open positions, text job to 215-798-9897 or visit dentistjobconnect.com. I'm thrilled to have a special guest with me today who is looking for an associate. Introduce yourself to our audience and tell us a little bit about where you practice.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Paul. I'm Dr. Pete Smidt. I'm CEO of Smalltown Dental. We've got multi-practice locations throughout Central Illinois. I'm a UIC graduate. Can't believe it's been 10 years already. So, but yeah,
a decade of dentisting. Good job, Doctor.
Full decade. I've made it. Yeah.
How many practices are in your group?
So we got 9 locations right now.
Awesome. How many dentists are on that team for the 9 locations?
I believe we have 12 right now.
And how many, you guys have 12 dentists, so I think that's awesome. You create camaraderie doing that with your 9 locations. And I want to go through your position that you have, the positions you have on our site, and create some details. You know, as dentists, we love details. We want to know the probing depth of number 15 distal when we're working on 30. Why? We don't know. Dental school made us that way. We like to open up conversations asking about gout. We're not normal, but we are here, dentist, to help you. So even if just to reinforce these things, I tell my wife, I don't repeat myself, I just reinforce good ideas. So tell us a little bit more about your location if someone's listening or watching, where you're located.
Yeah, so the easiest way to explain it is we're basically halfway between Chicago and St. Louis. Peoria, Illinois, Bloomington, Illinois, they're college towns, Bradley University, ISU. But yeah, I mean, we're a quick train up to Chicago and a quick drive down to St. Louis, and right smack dab in the middle of Central Illinois.
Wait, I'm from New Jersey, and when you're from Central New Jersey, you have a conundrum with sports fandom. So what teams do you for?
This is straight Cardinals Cubs territory. I mean, I went to school in Chicago. You don't necessarily even know the rivalry until you get right in the middle of it. But no, I'm a big Cardinals fan, so I tend to sneak down to St. Louis more than I go up to Chicago.
Nice. Now tell us, I like people to share, why are you looking for an associate? What's motivating your group to add dentists to your group?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great place to practice, honestly. I mean, we're just busting at the seams. It's not a situation where you head an hour north and you've got dentists all over the place. Everybody says rural, but we're not necessarily just rural communities. I mean, the areas have a lot to offer, but it's just a good place to practice. All the dentists get along. There's a lot of camaraderie between us, and it's just, so yeah, we're just looking because we're growing.
I always share that being a dentist, you can feel lonely even though you're always surrounded by people. And when you have other dentists on your team that you can reach out to, reach out to, I think that's just magical. I was at my dental practice yesterday, and it just can be Nacho nuts, to use a technical term, to be a dentist, all the things you have to do. So when you have camaraderie between other dentists on your team, that's awesome. Now, you graduated 10 years ago. I graduated 20 years ago. The cost of dental school has gone way up and up and up. And these young dentists, Dr. Pete, I find them to be very entitled, these younger dentists. They ask for things like wanting to eat food and provide shelter. I mean, what kind of entitled person wants food and shelter? And I say that jokingly because talk to us a little bit about compensation. If someone was watching this saying, okay, I can go to this area, great, why? But I need to make sure that I can pay my rent and take care of my student loans. Just talk to us about compensation.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's important. I mean, everybody's graduating with a lot of debt. So, I mean, we start out with base salaries, but because people can produce, and this is honestly a pretty easy location to make good money, we typically turn it over pretty quickly into like a collections-based compensation model. We're 35% on collections, we're 35% on lab bills, which is very competitive. I think what makes us unique is we're very intentional about trying to make sure our dentists also become good business owners. Awesome. And so we wrap into our model. Our hope is that eventually they pursue some level of partnership or ownership. And so we put things together as far as, free accounting services and free tax planning, financial services, so that they can prepare, as they kind of move through their associateship into more of a ownership mentality.
I love that. I mean, that's such an important part, stuff they don't teach you in dental school. And,
Mhm.
one of my passions is everyone should know what it's like to own a dental practice, even if you don't want to own a dental practice, because you need to be evaluate if the one that you're in is working well. I think that's really cool that you guys create that opportunity for them. Now, us dentists, we're like chefs, dentist chefs. So you could say this to me, Dr. Pete, and I could say, this sounds great. But if you say, we need you to just do class 2 composites on people who can't open on number 15, I would say, no, thank you. I am
Yeah,
not coming.
yeah, yeah.
Tell our audience, what procedures will they be expected to do most of the time? And are there any opportunities to add in some maybe specialty procedures or things like that?
Yeah, sure. I mean, we want our doctors to have autonomy. I mean, we're not going to force you to do procedures that you don't want to do. I mean, your bread and butter dentistry, of course, you're going to be doing. But we have doctors that they want to pursue implants, and so we provide them, support and figuring out how to place implants. So I mean, you can take it. You can specialize as far as you want to go with it, but we don't force you. If you don't want to do a root canal on number 2, we're not going to force you a root canal number 2. But if you want to learn more about endo, we're going to provide the resources that you can have the knowledge to provide endo on number 2.
So you could be successful doing fundamental restorative toppings, as I call them, restorative chips. And then also there's an opportunity to learn how to do more if that's your passion. I love that. Now tell us this. Dentists, not many people think of us as people, but we're real people. Okay. We're real people. We don't live in our operatories, even if our patients think that. So
Yeah.
forget about dentistry for 60 seconds. Somebody says, I can do this. I'm going to live in this area. What are some fun things you would have them do? Treatment plan their fun outside the operatory, whether it's food, sports, hiking, museums. Tell us about that.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm a big outdoor enthusiast. And so, I mean, there's tons of trails, lots of hiking, best deer hunting in the country. But the airports here are great. I mean, Peoria, Bloomington, you can show up to a flight 10 minutes before and you're an hour into Nashville for the weekend. So our doctors are huge national park people. To be honest, we've got a lot that kind of travel throughout the country. And that's the nice thing too, is we want work-life balance. We want you to be able to go vacation, and having multi-doctors where we can cover for each other allows that. So the area itself's cool. I mean, we've got concert halls, we've got a lot of restaurants. The riverfronts are great. But for sure, it's important to us that you get out and go play a little bit too.
Awesome. I love all that. You've shared so many awesome things about your position. People can apply by going to dentistjobconnect.com. They can text Peoria to 215-798-9897 or text Bloomington to 215-798-9897. If they want to learn about Smalltown, they can connect with Dr. Pete too by texting Smalltown to 215-798-9897. So, Dr. Pete, thanks so much for sharing with me. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we wrap up about your position, the Krebs cycle, anything you want?
No, I go and talk at some of the dental schools throughout the Midwest, and I always make that joke about the Krebs cycle. It's like, when you get out of the dentistry, the last thing I've never been asked yet at the end of the day how well I know the Krebs cycle. So just get through school, and then you get to learn real world dentistry.
I absolutely love that. Well, thank you for sharing with us. If anyone wants to know about anything we do, please reach out to us at dentistjobconnect.com. Have a great day, Dr. Pete.
All right, you too. Thanks, Paul.